Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to It's Snow Joke. I'm Katie Laidley with the Right-of-Way Department at SRF Consulting, and it is my pleasure to introduce Nicole Peske. Nicole is the Communications Director for the NDDOT and has been since 2021. Before that, she served as the head of communications, as the communications officer for the North Dakota Department of Transportation, the North Dakota Department of Health. She currently serves on the Transportation Steering Committee for the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials and was recognized on the Bismarck Tribune and the Prairie Business for the 40 Under 40. Let's announce Nicole Peske.
Thank you. It is such a mouthful. We were having a moment in the back because she's asking me how to pronounce my name, and I was like, it's Peske, like annoying. So married into it. Super excited to be here to talk about one of my just absolute favorite subjects. We're going to talk primarily about social media. And I want to make this really interactive and really fun and light. And so feel free to, if I ask questions, respond. And feel free to ask questions throughout and really make this your own. So, all right. Katie did a great job, but just a little bit about me. Most of that you already heard, but I think the thing that I really wanted to point out was just, we talk actually, a big thank you to a lot of our team from DOT is here. I was joking with them earlier. I think they're fact-checking me, so they can point out if I'm lying to you at all. But we talk a lot in our team about how we're really about relationship first, that we're in the relationship business. And I care very much about that. I really love people. I love great storytelling. I'm married to an educator who turned pastor, who I joked last summer that, some people just buy Camaros when they go through their midlife crisis, but he became a pastor. And then I'm also an adoption advocate on the side. So I love connecting with people. I love helping people connect with each other. And so if there's anything up there that resonates with you, make sure you reach out with me and we can connect about that later. All right, so when you think about social media, what do you think? So we're going to do like a little raise of hands, and I'll give you 3 choices. Sort of a love it, hate it, and then a middle version. So who absolutely loves social media? Who uses it in their daily life? Maybe you use it in your business life. Who really sees the value of it, loves connecting? Awesome, Tom. Yeah, great. Who is sort of on the fence about it, meaning you maybe don't love it, but you kind of can see the value of it in some situations? Okay, most of the group. Who absolutely hates it? All right, a little surprised you're here. No. I guess it wasn't quite straightforward that this was mostly about social media, but maybe this will get everybody to think in just a little bit of a different way. And I think the thing about social media is that it really, when you're thinking about it from a business perspective, it really doesn't matter what our personal opinions are about social media. The fact is that it's here. It's here to stay. It's where the people are. And if you know, when you're communicating to groups of people, you need to be where the people are. So I think in the end, the moral of the story is that it really doesn't matter what we think about it, is that it's necessary and it's a proven good tool. So we're going to build the case a little bit for social media today. So this is a little bit about why social media matters. Is it helps to tell a really important story, and we're going to kind of dive a little bit deeper into all these areas, but it provides direct contact with the public. So you remember like 20 years ago when Facebook was rolling out, before that, we were really at the mercy of the media. We would draft up a news release. That would take a little bit of time. We would send our news release out to the media. The media would have to find it in their, back then email was even fairly new, but they'd have to find it in their email. They'd have to decide if they thought it was important enough to run. Then they would edit our news release, and then they would put it out in the paper the next day. Just a very long and complicated process that really gave us very little control in the message that actually went out. So the nice thing about social media is we can talk directly to our audience without the filter of the media or anybody else in between us. Like I mentioned, we're meeting people where they are and where they're already spending their time. We all know how popular, crazy popular social media is with nearly every sort of population base and every generation. It helps us build engagement because we can have, social media is very much like a two-way street. I just made a transportation reference. It's like a two-way street. So, it's not about us like pushing information out to the public, but it's also about what are they saying back to us and how are we interacting with them. We're humanizing the DOT. And for those of you that do social media, humanizing your entities to the public too. We feel very strongly about sharing this story of how the DOT, you can look at it and it's pretty easy to think of us just as government, but we're so much more than government. We are people behind the work that we're doing, people who love and care and have a lot of passion for the work they do. And so we want to tell that story. This is the biggest thing for us, is that it's absolutely critical for us in emergency situations. Super thankful we have not, I don't think we've seen that map once this year. I probably jinxed it now, I'll have to knock on some wood. But really critical in emergency situations. It really are, the messages that we put out help people to make the right decision. That's one of the reasons why we do it, is to show them exactly what's happening. In the situations we're talking about, we're asking them to not travel. And so because of that, they actually can't see for themselves what the road conditions are like. So we take that upon ourselves to show them. It shows that the team is working because, I don't know if you know this sometimes about the public, but if they don't see it with their own eyes, they sometimes think it doesn't happen. And so it might be like, I don't know, if you go to the bathroom and you miss the plow driving by your house, you might think there's no plows out, right? So we're showing our teams out there constantly working hard. We counter the negative posts with proof, and we showcase our operators as heroes, which is one of our absolute favorite things to do because they are very much heroes. Okay, so why does social media matter? We talk a lot about this bank of trust. And what the bank of trust is it's this concept of every single thing, every interaction that we have with the public, it either deposits or withdraws money from this bank that we have with the public. And so I think it's very easy to feel like social media is sort of like a fluff communication type. Fluffy, like if you look at the content, it's like, oh, like somebody won an award, or, but absolutely every single thing that we do on social media is strategic. Like every single post that we do has a reason behind it. And that's because when we're acknowledging awards, when we're hosting conferences and we're talking about that, when we have a school that visits a district, it doesn't matter how big or little it is. Those are like tiny little deposits into this bank. So then what happens is, I know this would never happen to any of you, but somewhere down the line, somebody is going to mess up. And we are going to have to make a withdrawal from our bank. And the whole idea is that we have spent so much time building and cultivating and growing this great positive interaction with the public that when we have to withdraw money, we're not going to go below zero. So that's our whole goal. So let's dive a little bit deeper into a few social media strategies that work. And again, I mean, and Sarah's here, she manages our social media account. We have a really, really fantastic team. We're super passionate about it. Like I said, everything we do is strategic, but we are still learning. I mean, we're still learning. So this isn't by any means like the perfect recipe, but this is what we've at least found to this point that has worked well for us. So we want to tell a great story, and this is a few of the reasons why. Is that people respond better to stories that that they have some kind of emotional attachment or emotional reaction to. People also will retain messages better and action and do, like, because all of our messages usually revolve around asking people to do something. We want to get them to stay off the roads, or we want them to download the app, or whatever it might be. They're also more likely to do what we need them to do if there's storytelling around it. People place a lot of value on things when it's coming to them in the form of a story. One of my favorite things that we do is around the snowplow naming contest. And again, looking from the outside in, that might seem like a little bit of a fluff sort of piece, and we have a great time with it. We think it's a blast. But you know, people take better care of things that have names. And so when people are driving around and they see Darth Blader, you know, we want them to think about Darth Blader, and more importantly, their driver, we want to think about them differently. Also, storytelling helps us to retain information better. We have some really great partners that we work with when we're especially communicating out during crisis situations. And I'd love for you to think in your areas too about the partnerships that you have, and thinking about how you can sort of take those partnerships one level deeper. So who is it in your life that you could be working with that you're not? They're probably at this conference even. So maybe don't let tomorrow go by before you reach out to them and think about how you could partner together on your getting your joint message out. But in situations in winter weather, we rely very heavily on our partners, primarily the Highway Patrol, the National Weather Service, the Department of Emergency Services, and we each know what the other one, it's what each of our roles are. We're very comfortable with that. We have great relationships together outside of emergency services. We spend time cultivating that outside of emergency services, so that when we get into a winter weather situation, that we already know and trust each other. And we've had done some pretty fun things together. That the post on the far right there, that you ought to know, current conditions are ideal for sliding. Then the Highway Patrol, you'll see they responded back there, and they said, I can't read it. It says, we ought to be serious, slow down, and drive for the conditions. And then we responded back underneath their comment and said that we're beavering serious. So, I mean, this is a deal. Like, when snow events are happening, everybody's getting really tired, right? Everybody just wants it to be done. So we try to have a little bit of fun with it, too. So typically, in these long snow situations, we will often try to lean on humor, especially when we're deep into it, to try to help create a little bit of community. This is just a couple examples of what we've done. This was on Easter Sunday a couple years ago. It says, poor visibility and extremely icy conditions are making travel hazardous in north central North Dakota. Travel is not advised. Folks, if you've ever wanted an excuse to avoid the in-laws, this is it. Stay home and stay safe. And we just got tons of great feedback. Humor is the best medicine. This is a great post. And then they said, my husband is questioning, what do you do if the in-laws are already coming to you? I love people so much. And then we just did this little like Game of Thrones gif about how it's just a couple of flakes. So we're really trying to be, I think humor also kind of helps us position ourselves as being on the same team as the public, because we do that early. And the reason for that is because in a situation where you were just told that you can't attend a UND hockey game, people really need somebody to blame. And so if we don't align ourselves with the public as being on the same team, both fighting Mother Nature, then they might turn on us. And we know that we're not the bad guy. We're just out there trying to help. So. Here's just a couple other examples of how we've worked together with some groups. This is like North Dakota Highway Patrol throwing us a bone here and asking us about recruiting. So we were trying to recruit during a snowstorm because in case people wanted to go back to their childhoods and drive big trucks. This is also some good examples too about how we sort of respond to questions in the comment section because I think that's something that we kind of wrestle with and something that we're always sort of debating and dealing with. Typically, when people comment on our posts, if it's just outright nasty and negative, we'll just ignore it. If people have a legit question, then we'll try to answer it. If they are saying something and it's just outright misinformation, often we'll try to correct that. So this is just a couple examples of how we responded. Somebody asked this really legit question about, well, how do the plows know where the road is to plow it, like if it's completely white out, right? And so we called a couple of our buddies that are operators, and they told us what it was. And so we responded with this, great question. If you're in Darth Blader, then you use the force. Otherwise, you use your experience. We talked about how they can kind of feel the rumble stripes on the side of the road. They can feel when they go off the road a little bit. They can feel that with their wheels. And this one comment was at 215 responses, which is pretty amazing for a comment in a post. This road opening one over here was a situation where we had closed the interstate on, I think it was the day before, and then the road closure went overnight into the day where the Red Hot Chili Peppers were going to be in Fargo. There was a lot of people really eager, from Bismarck, eager to get on the road. And so we have a music lover on our team, and he crafted up this really amazing response using all Red Hot Chili Pepper song titles. So super fun, and again, it just did really, really well. People are watching, and they're definitely listening. All right, one of our most favorite things is humanizing the inhuman. So treating our operators as heroes, and like I said, showcasing the people that are behind government. Like we're so much more than that. These operators are out there working in conditions that we tell people are unsafe to be out in. That's their job. I think a lot of them, are there operators in the room? I probably shouldn't speak on behalf of her. Yeah. See, correct me if I'm wrong. Fact check me. I think they love what they do, but it is dangerous work, and I think it is a story worth sharing with the public. We give the public is very, they love snowplow operators. So they're very generous with their praise in all of our posts. Like you'll even notice, it's been a pretty mild winter, but just this last weekend, even in our random travel alert update posts, you'll see people that are commenting and they're thanking the operators. In these really big, heavy events, we give the public a lot of opportunity to thank the operators. We will do special posts, which is what these are examples of. We do these selfies from the field where we get our operators to show sort of what life is like from their perspective. I think that's from a couple winters ago at the Gladstone exit. And so just a really good opportunity to give them, we'll get hundreds of responses from people thanking the plow operators. And then what we try to do is in these major weather events, we'll try to take those comments that we get in those posts and we'll put together a piece that we send out to the districts that they can hang up to make sure that the plow operators are able to see how much the public appreciates them. All right, another thing we do, we stay transparent and we stay accessible. It's challenging because the hours it seems silly when you're talking about snowplow operators because they work the longest hours ever, but our team is working, we have an on-call schedule and we're working during winter weather events, and it takes time to really go through and weed through all of this and respond and that sort of thing. But we really feel like it's super important that we stay accessible. And that means that we're responding to people when they're asking us questions. We're using our comments, our responses to people's questions or complaints, that we're really using those as a vehicle to share information with other people that are not just that person. So when we talk to a person, we're really actually talking to everybody because we know everybody is reading it. We are very strategic about countering our negative posts with proof. And this is because, like I was talking about before, that just in a lot of situations, people can't see with their own eyes what's actually going on out there. And so we, unfortunately, have to deliver a lot of bad news. We're closing the interstate. Now people can't get to their NDSU football games, and they can't get home why is it every snowstorm happens over a holiday, So it's like people can't get home to see their families at Christmas. It's just bad. And so we always try to follow up that bad news with proof, like these photos, for example, that showcase why those decisions were made. We ask for a ton of patience. That is very true. We ask for a ton of patience from people when we're clearing the roads. So we have learned, I just picked two of my favorites, but we've learned a lot over our time about what to do and what not to do. And I give the team a lot of credit because we learn and we pivot, we do things better the next time. If there's one thing about social media, people and the public, they will 100% call you out the second they see something that is not right. And so in this first post, we got quite a few people that commented that the gentleman in the back wasn't wearing safety goggles. And whether he should have been or whether he didn't, that's not really the point, because we actually went round and around. We read the manual for this piece of equipment, and it didn't say that he needed to. But anyway, whatever. The thing is that with the public, the perception is the reality. So whatever they think is happening or should happen, that's like reality to them. So in their eyes, he should have been wearing safety goggles. We have the same discussions when we're getting getting photo assets from the field, from our drivers, because sometimes the way that you take the photo, it looks a certain way. It might look like the operator was driving. It might look like they were parked on the road. And so we always try to look for that and try to protect them as much as we can. This other one, I think that's one of our favorite stories. I'm probably going to botch it. Usually when I tell this story, Sarah's not in the room, so this happened to her. But we had somebody that sent us this awesome photo of this gal with this skunk and told Sarah about how she was part of the wildlife cleanup crew. And Sarah was pretty new, I think, right? Second week on the job. She crafts this awesome posted, and then the person got back to her and was like, "Oh my gosh, I was just joking. We don't have a wildlife cleanup crew." but now it's on social media, so it's true. It's forever in his, yeah. So pretty funny. We laughed a lot about that one. So just to touch a little bit on our social media goals. So our goal in social media, especially for winter weather, is to make the DOT the preferred choice for road information. We are the experts on road information. We want people to come to us. Like I said, that requires us to be active and involved, and it requires us to be working, at 5 in the morning or whenever the snowstorms are happening. We want to tell a complete and diverse DOT story, and that requires us building relationships all across the state and getting assets, photos, and videos from all the corners so that we're not just providing the outlook on weather from the area that most of us live in, Bismarck. That would be super easy, right? So we're always reaching out and we're building those relationships. We're showing how and who is working for the citizens of North Dakota. So we're showing the people behind government, like I said. The most important thing, we're strategically communicating the right info to the right people at the right time so that people can make the right decisions. That is in our crisis communications for winter weather or whatever might come up. That is the goal. Right info, right people at the right time so people can make the right decision. Let me stop there. This is dangerous because I don't even know when I'm supposed to be done. Let me stop there before I move on to just this little piece about how you can help your communications people in your areas. Do you guys anybody have any questions about that? Or I know, how many, quick raise of hands, how many people in here are admins of your social media? Anybody? All right. So yeah, and feel free to offer up if you have things you've done that have worked too. I would love to hear that. But any questions or comments? Yeah.
So when you're crafting your brochure, did it ever occur to you, what types of things might have occurred to you versus like government versus private sector businesses or private social media usage that one might not work for the other? Has that ever come up, or do you treat your social media like you would your personal social media?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, when you started talking, the first thing that I thought of was about government. You know, we're bound by like open record rule. Like we don't delete anything. We have a social media policy and we follow that policy. And so this is kind of a gray area, but we do allow ourselves to delete or hide comments where people drop the F-bomb, or because it's in our policy. But for the most part, we cannot delete comments from people who just disagree with us or people that are being really nasty. I know you've never seen that on social media. Yeah, for sure. That was the first thing that came to mind, and then I totally forgot the second thing I was gonna. Yes. Yeah.
I have a great team because I text these guys constantly and say, am I going too far? Am I pushing the line here? Trying to make something funny that's distasteful or disrespectful or, I'm constantly asking, are we going too far because we're a government agency? If it was my personal account, I'd push right away.
And I think a lot of our strategy too around fighting this, like I think in the bio, I always like joke about how we're trying to fight the stereotype of stuffy government communications, because it does not have to be that way. I think a lot of that has to do with us having a voice, and our voice is really casual. You know, our voice, because social media is a casual platform. It doesn't mean that we're not really particular about facts or that we're not professional, but it's a very, I think, personable voice.
Nicole, have you got any pushback on that voice, on using that voice?
I think we're very, very, very fortunate at the DOT because we have a lot of support around social media, and our team in general just has a lot of support. So we haven't. Have we done anything that has gotten the director called into the governor's office? No. So maybe it would change then. Cross your fingers. But I think we're pretty careful. Like I feel like we're kind of always like testing that boundary of what we want to do and think we can do. But I'll tell you, even when we do those fun posts, like the one about the in-laws, like on Easter, I probably sat on that for 15 minutes. And then I was like, okay, I think it'll fall right. Like I think people will think that's funny. Everybody's exhausted with the storm. And I think when I posted it, I went like this. And then I was like, oh, they loved it. But I mean, sometimes it's like that. And it's seeing what falls and then like I said, pivoting for next time, like learning from that. And yeah.
How did you guys come up with your policy as far as how to respond, what to respond to, when do you just not respond, those kind of things?
Yeah, so the policy, that's more a guidance. We do have a policy that says, sort of, well, the rules that we have around how we treat our social media. Our guidelines, I think we've taken like probably templates that, were provided to us and kind of tweaked them. Our policy that we have came from the NDIT, like they started it and then other agencies kind of drafted it. But if you're curious about that, give me your email and I would definitely be happy to send them to you. So, yeah. Other questions or comments, things you've seen? Yeah.
I've been really impressed with the buy-in from the field operations staff out in the state and them providing you content. Talk a little bit about how that came to be.
I would love to. Because there's like some of them that are here, like, and those assets that we get from the districts are everything to us, everything, because we're literally, at 10 o'clock at night when that map changes, we're like sitting in our pajamas at the kitchen table because we can't drive, it's too bad. And so those operators and what they give us, that's everything. Like I said, we build relationships constantly. A couple summers ago, we started this kind of in an effort to tell this more well-rounded DOT story. And by that I mean we wanted content, and that's content for social media, it's video stories, it's stories for our intranet, it's all of that. We wanted to tell a more well-rounded story from across every corner of the state. So we started what we call the District Liaison Program, and what we did is we assigned everybody on our team has a district that they are responsible to. And we meet with them regularly, and we sort of act as the go-between. And then our internal goal is to get one piece of content, whatever that is, per month. And so I don't know if there's anybody. My district is Williston. I'm like hounding them constantly. Joel's in the back. So we meet with them regularly and just, and get all up in their business, right? And ask them what's going on and who's retiring and what kind of stories do you have. And Williston's super innovative. We did a really cool cone placer video with them that, so that kind of stuff is happening because of those relationships that we've built. We try really hard to make, like none of the district people that are in the room do not laugh. We try to make life easy for them so that it's easy to come to us with stuff. Stop laughing. I see you shaking your head back there. So we try to be helpful where we can. It is a tough sell though. Like I know you guys probably know that too in your areas. Social media is a tough sell because people are reading Bismarck people reporting the news. And they're like, I don't want any part of that. So, other questions? All right. Okay, so even though I think there's not too many of you that are admins, but certainly you work for entities, and I'm sure all of the groups that you're working for, they all have a social media presence, right? And so just like That was a great question that Tom had, because we just could not do a fraction of what we're doing without the support of all the rest of the DOT folks. And so you, I'm sure, can be that person for people in your group too. So this is a little bit about how you can make your social media manager smile. Like I said, assets are everything. So it's just kind of capturing what you're around. It's like, even if it's like taking a picture of, your group, getting your group together and taking a picture in front of the transportation conference sign and sending it to your social media manager. We always tell people, because I think sometimes when you're kind of in the daily grind and you're just, to you, your job is just your job. You do it every day. It's like, you don't find it exciting. We always tell people, let us decide that your job's not exciting. Like, just kind of lean towards sending us stuff, and then let us decide if we think the public would find it useful, because I guarantee you, we can find a story in anything. Like any sort of job. We have the coolest things going on around the DOT, and we even know that we're telling a fraction of the story that we could be. So, collect information, collect assets, get to know them, send them stuff. You'll be their friend for life. Make sure that you are being safe, especially for those of you that work in the field. You're using proper PPE. We talk a lot about making sure that you're not doing things like trying to use your cell phone while you're driving, making sure that you're parking safely, you're on an overpass or you're clearly off on the side of the road and you're out of harm's way when you're taking pictures for us. And then, like I said, the perception is the reality. So, and then one little extra tip, you probably all know that, but does anybody in here really like spirited discussions on social media? Does anybody can I find any of your names on Bismarck People Reporting the News? No? No one does. Okay, well then this doesn't apply to you. I was just going to say, if you do like to engage in spirited discussions, you can actually, you don't have to have your employer's name on your profile. You could do your employer a favor and remove that so they don't get emails and calls. So. All right, so I kind of talked about this a little bit, but so anybody have anything that you're doing? Tom, do you have anything you're doing that works, or?
People like the human side.
Yeah.
You see the most reaction. I have to admit that I'm with Upper Great Plains Transportation. We could do a better job of being strategic. Gives me a little inspiration.
Oh, good. Yeah. Anybody else? What you're doing? Questions? No?
Have you ever had any situations where you had to transition very quickly from that kind of joking around or jovial kind of, yeah, look at the plow truck sideways in the ditch. Yep, everybody stay home, kind of, or something like that, to then getting to a very serious.
Yes.
How do you transition?
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. I feel like social media is kind of forgiving in that sense. In that, the algorithm is like a mess anyway. So you never you never know how people are kind of getting your messages. So things are kind of, they might be coming to them out of order anyway. So yeah, I would definitely say, it does happen. But for the most part, especially in winter weather, it's pretty predictable. It kind of ramps up and then it ramps down, so we know when we'll have room to play with that. But we definitely don't get too worked up about it. Because like I said, if we're, trying to be funny because we're on day whatever, and then we have to close another interstate, for example, that's sort of like a separate message. So, yeah. All right, anything else? Oh my goodness. Now that you said that out loud, it might happen. No, I don't know if I don't think we do really. We do get brought up a couple, often I would say, in a few sort of satire pages that we're sort of have frequent appearances on. Bach and Fail the Day, has anyone seen that one? It's not true that 69% of trucks that go through the Killdeer roundabout tip. That is not, you guys, that is not a fact. So that is not a fact. We were going to send someone out to count, but anyway. So yeah, not so far, but. All right. Yes, Ben.
One of the fun things I think Sarah started doing on social media is, where are we? And she posted this picture of this town in central North Dakota that was like a 60-year-old picture, and within a short period of time, there were people that knew it was New Rockford.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
amazing.
amazing. So check the website, Facebook page on Thursdays and see what Sarah's posting and figure out where you are.
Yeah, people, that's fairly new. We do these Throwback Thursday posts, and the pictures are black and white, and the cars are old, and people just eat it up. They just love it. All right, good enough. Well, thanks for hanging with me. And definitely, let's see here. Oh, sorry. I would be remiss if I didn't say you should follow us. So follow us on Facebook. Oh, it's now X, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. And then also, don't forget to download the app. Of course, everybody in this room has, right? Somebody told me it's the most downloaded government app, and I have no way to fact check that, but I'm going to go with it. So if you haven't downloaded it, download it, and then definitely reach out if you have any questions. I'd love to help and love to hear more of your story too. So thank you, everyone.